It was author and educator Charles R. Swindoll who said life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. Therefore, let's stand together in the fight against COVID-19 as the government relaxes a few of the control measures to restore the economy. Let's be persistent and make that 90% count. If we follow the safeguards, we can turn the negatives and challenges of the pandemic into positives and triumphs. Remember, a healthy people and environment is essential to a strong economy. Hello, I'm Adrian Atkinson and this is Jamaica Magazine. We have a lot in store for you in this half hour, so please stay with us.
Persons will be able to pay tribute to the late Honorable Shahini Robinson on June 11, 12 and 16. Closed casket viewing will be held at the St. Anne Parish Church in St. Anne's Bay on June 11, as well as the St. John's Anglican Church in Ocho Rios on June 12. Viewing will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on both days. Viewing is also scheduled in Kingston on June 16 at the Jamaica Labour Party headquarters on Belmont Road. This will be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Social distancing protocols will be observed.
There is no denying that, much as is the case for other countries, COVID-19 has had a negative impact on the Jamaican economy. But with the situation being fluid, things could change. We're going for growth with the Planning Institute of Jamaica.
Jamaica has been on a steady path of economic growth for 7 consecutive years, ending 2019 with 0.6%. But since the outbreak of the novel coronavirus COVID-19 in December last year, the world's economy has been significantly impacted, and that includes Jamaica. With the country confirming its first case on March 10, government quickly implemented measures to manage and contain the spread of the virus. These included travel restrictions and subsequent closure for borders to air and sea travel, restrictions on public gatherings, a work-from-home order and curfews, as well as the closure of some businesses such as nightclubs, bars, barbershops and hairdressing salons, among others. According to the Planning Institute of Jamaica PIOJ, these measures, while necessary for public health, understandably impacted the economy in a negative way. In fact, it's estimating a 1.7% decline in growth for the January to March quarter of 2020, indicating that the economy has already started feeling the effects of the global crisis. The PIOJ is also projecting that the first quarter of the 2020-2021 fiscal year will see a decline within the range of 12 to 14% as a result of the fall in demand for goods and services and a barrage of global restrictions to reduce the spread of COVID-19.
This projection is based on information and expectations to date, which are very fluid and will change as new information becomes available. The extent of the decline is contingent on how soon the initiatives to boost economic recovery activities become effective in Jamaica and its main trading partners.
This represents the most significant economic decline we have suffered in 4 decades. It is therefore an imperative that we get our economy back to full productive capacity as quickly as possible. As of June 1, we have moved towards a broader opening of our economy. I cannot overemphasize, however, that this will be done in a safe way, and we must continue to protect lives while securing livelihoods.
So in a move to balance public health and economic recovery, the Prime Minister announced the relaxing of some of the COVID-19 control measures that were put in place. These include reopening Jamaica's borders to non-national travelers, a later curfew start time to facilitate longer opening hours for businesses, and the reopening of some establishments such as bars, barbershops, hairdressing salons, churches, beaches, and rivers. In addition, the work-from-home order was not renewed, and so persons outside of the restricted stay-at-home category are now allowed to return to their places of work.
We will transition from work-from-home orders to work smarter, work safer guidelines. The country must seek to maximize its productivity without compromising our health by reconfiguring how, where, and when we work, by integrating technology and innovation in all our business processes, and generally increasing efficiency of firms and well-being of workers. The COVID-19 Recovery Task Force has been working through their respective subcommittees to assist in developing protocols for industries and businesses. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has developed minimum protocols which are published on their website.
Prime Minister Holness says the measures to restore full operation of the economy are to secure income and safeguard the country's economic stability. This, he emphasizes, is critical, especially to the tourism sector, which earns over 50% of the country's foreign exchange, as well as the agriculture sector.
Many of our farmers depend on tourism. Over 300,000 Jamaicans, in some way, shape, or form, benefit from tourism in working.
And so, as the relaxation measures take form, the PIOJ says the pace of economic growth could be enhanced if certain upside potentials are realized.
Stronger than anticipated global demand associated with an early rebound in global economic activities. 2, faster than anticipated recovery of key industries due to the effective channeling of domestic demand to sustain productive activities, especially in the agriculture, manufacturing and hotels and restaurants industries. 3, faster than expected recovery in local demand as firms rehire workers that previously lost jobs or increases numbers of hours for workers whose hours were reduced. And 4, stronger domestic linkages as local firms satisfy local and global demand which were previously fulfilled by the global supply chain.
In addition, several initiatives have begun focusing on the provision of strategic advice to the government on policy, plans, and programs.
Emphasis is being placed on providing analysis on economic, social, environmental, as well as external cooperation management issues, underpinned by an appreciation of the interlinkages for sustainable development outcomes. This work is being supported by the extensive network of partners for development, including the public and private sectors, the international development partners, and civil society.
The initiatives include the CARE program and policies and strategies being crafted by the Economic Recovery Task Force. There is also the National COVID-19 Research Agenda to measure and monitor the socio-economic impact of the pandemic in order to devise strategies on the way forward, plus the post-disaster impact assessment.
To inform the government's policy or program interventions during the recovery phase. So far, the core team has been activated and data collection instruments have been disseminated and reviewed. The monitoring and collection of baseline data is already in process.
Going forward, the government stands resolute in its strategies to build a resilient economy that can withstand the shocks of COVID-19. And so, with the majority of the labor force back at work, the call for persons to practice personal safety is reiterated.
We now have a better understanding as to how the virus is transmitted. We know the measures that we have to take until we get a vaccine. Let us follow those measures faithfully. Let us be responsible. And together, we will overcome this pandemic stronger and better.
CARE applicants who applied for compassionate grant and who applied for their compassionate grant to be paid to a remittance company, just to update you that your compassionate grant has been paid over to the remittance company that you selected on your behalf. And your compassionate grant will be with your remittance company until the 30th of June. So that gives you all of May and it gives you all of June to collect your compassionate grant.
The process is to facilitate timely transfers of grants under the COVID Allocation of Resources for Employees Care program has not been without challenges for the Ministry of Finance. But the team remains dedicated to the task. as Portfolio Minister Dr. Nigel Clark gives an update on the current stage of the program and hiccups along the way.
The Ministry of Finance says approximately 520,000 applications have been received across all components of the government's COVID allocation of resources for employees care program since April 9. The program is designed to cushion individuals and businesses against the economic impact of COVID-19.
The compassionate grant component has seen the most significant participation, with over 400,000 applications received, and the parishes of St. Catherine's, Kingston and St. Andrew accounted for approximately 50% of total applications.
Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says 375,000 compassionate grant applicants were deemed eligible. Of that number, a one-off transfer of $10,000 was made to 337,000 applicants as at May 29, 2020. These persons are either unemployed or informally employed. As for the supporting employees with the transfer of set cash component, Dr. Clark says 31,000 applicants were deemed eligible and payment was made to 12,000 persons.
Now remember, the set cash will be paid up to 3 times. So when we say received, it doesn't mean it's finished. We have to pay them again and we have to pay them again.
The set cash grant is for persons earning $1.5 million or less per year. These are also persons whose employment was terminated after March 10 as a result of the impact of COVID-19. Minister Clark clarifies why set cash applicants would have received a message that their application is ineligible after their initial approval notification.
The employer is required to upload a P45 for the set cash, right? As well as an SO1 form as evidence that the employee was on a payroll. Now, if you put incomplete or inaccurate information, or you put it in a wrong section of the form, right, you could end up ruling somebody ineligible.
According to the minister, this prompted further verification from the Auditor General's Department, after which Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ audited 300 firms to validate information submitted on the SO1 forms by the employers.
The good news, though, is that we resolved those, and 5,000 of those persons who were in that category are being paid this week.
Another issue being rectified is the delay in payment to some applicants as a result of issues with bank account details.
We've been working with the banks themselves and the CEOs. They are heavily involved because they understand the importance of this. And they have teams who are working to resolve those difficulties. And I'm happy to report that we've made substantial progress, even though much remains to be done.
The finance minister is reporting that as at June 1, the number of bank accounts with problems have reduced from 100,000 to 30,000. These are in relation to the compassionate and set cash grants.
The set cash grant transfers of 12,000 persons and the 337,000 compassionate grants that have been transferred have come at a cost of $3.6 billion. Which has been financed by contingency funds available under the circumstances.
Meanwhile, validation of applications for approximately 22,000 workers under the Business Employee Support and Transfer of Cash Best Cash is now being finalized.
We'd have received Best Cash applications from approximately just under 300 employers who were applying on behalf of approximately 22,000 employees who earn under $1.5 million who they had kept on staff.
Best Cash is designed to support businesses in tourism and related sectors. Dr. Clark says as soon as all the processes are completed, payment of grants will be made. Disbursement will be made from the provisions allocated in the first supplementary budget after its approval.
Then we expect that the set cash and best cash grants, which will be paid more than once, that we will be able to have a substantial amount of those paid in June, along with the small business grants and the remaining compassionate grants for the bank accounts that have been validated.
Both best and set cash applicants will receive $9,000 per fortnight for 3 months.
I would want to estimate that about 300,000 Jamaican workers have been impacted in some way. Either they have lost their job, they have been laid off, they have been put on half pay or three-quarter pay, or impacted in some way. So the economic impact is wide.
Continuing his update, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says of the 1,200 entities eligible for the small business grant, 381 have already received payment. Processing of the remaining applicants continues. As for the general grant, validation of applications is now underway, and this is expected to last for 2 weeks.
That validation process is quite involved because the number of occupational groups is quite large, and the database for the validation, will come from a different source.
These include the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development in relation to bar owners, barbers and hairdressers, the Tourism Product Development Company for ground transport operators, such as members of the Jamaica Union of Travelers Association, JUTA, and Jamaica Cooperative Automobile and Limousine JCAL Tours Limited, and the Transport Authority in relation to public passenger vehicle PPV licenses.
It will also be subject to an independent validation by the Auditor General's Department as well. Once that is completed, the transfers for the general grants will begin.
Benefits are a one-time grant of $25,000 or $40,000, depending on the category persons are in.
There is still time to make those hurricane preparations, and a vital one is checking to see how vulnerable your home or environment is to natural disasters such as a flood. Here's how.
Floods and earthquakes are two of the most common natural disasters. But unlike earthquakes, which usually take us by surprise, flooding to some extent can be predicted. Through the use of revolutionary technology, awareness of the possible outcomes of a natural disaster has become more advanced. Persons are now able to use data on location, roof, and house type to create a simulation of what may happen in an earthquake, tropical storm, or hurricane.
The simulation was designed to combine place, type of structure, and event. Because Jamaica is vulnerable to four types of events: hurricane/tropical storms, landslides, floods, and earthquakes. But the same building that you live in is exposed to all four. And that same building you live in will react differently to all four.
Jamaica's landscape equally sits in low-lying and coastal areas as on hills and valleys. The country is also in an earthquake zone, so it can't hurt to do a little research on all the what-ifs, right?
You'll be able to go inside your house and see your roof being blown off, or your slab roof staying on. You'll be inside your slab roof house when earthquake shakes it comes down on you. We'll be able to have those types of simulations.
How about the possible outcome of a Category 5 hurricane if you're living in a zinc roof wooden house that is built on stilts in a river valley? So now that these predictions are available to us, just how useful are they?
This simulator is now designed to take all of that information, the conventional knowledge that we as academics know, or the disaster management professional knows, dump it online as we have. Let the developer, housing developer, have access to it and see for himself. Let the parish council person or the development approval authority play with it.
And once they've viewed it, The authorities can use the data to plan areas for development, approve or deny development applications, and build better. The simulator is not just a special effect disaster interactive tool, but one that takes into account the realities of environmental and living conditions here in Jamaica.
And the simulator also seeks to bring an awareness of the impact natural disasters may have on lives, properties, and businesses in relation to the country's national goals.
The effect a hazard would have on everything ranging from the individual to the nation is important, and scaremongering only goes so far.
The simulator allows you to either scare yourself or reassure yourself, but it's based on reality.
Another useful element to this drill is the data it uses. Historical data are planted and come to life through the simulator to facilitate emergency responses as well as forward planning in action.
Knowing where hazards are and knowing where they're not is extremely valuable information to businesses such as insurance. Instead of blanketing Portland as a hazard-prone parish, we can know which parts of Portland are hazard-prone, therefore allowing people in Portland who are not in hazard-prone areas to get lower insurance premiums. You underwrite them differently. And you also underwrite more accurately and properly the people who are in hazard-prone zones.
So, if you have already bought your dream home or are thinking of buying or building, you may want to try a few simulation exercises to test the stability of your home or to find out if where you intend to build is the best place to put down roots.
As we brace for the rains during the hurricane season, up next we discuss ridding our surrounding of containers and other objects that provide ideal breeding spots for mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes are undoubtedly annoying, with their irritating sound and stinging bites. But there are more compelling reasons we'd rather not have them around. Several species are carriers of diseases and a threat to human health. Of most significance to Jamaica is the Aedes aegypti mosquito, known to transmit dengue fever, chikungunya, yellow fever, and the Zika virus. Only female mosquitoes bite, doing so to get the blood they need for egg production. And therefore, only female mosquitoes transmit these viruses.
The Aedes aegypti mosquito is what we call a timid feeder. So she's easily disturbed when feeding. It means that in one night, she may feed on several persons before she takes her complete blood meal. Each time she feeds, she secretes that substance. And in the secretion of the substance, the pathogen is passed on. So in one night, one female Aedes aegypti mosquito is able to infect more than one person.
The female Aedes aegypti mosquito is a prolific breeder.
One female Aedes aegypti mosquito is able to lay up to 200 eggs each time she lays her eggs. So one mosquito can populate an entire area.
The lifespan of the mosquito is around 3 weeks, and the entire cycle from egg to adult can occur in as little as 7 to 8 days. Female mosquitoes are ready to mate within a few hours after reaching their adult stage, and males are usually ready within 24 hours.
This mosquito prefers cleaner waters. For the female mosquitoes, she will lay her eggs in water, and for the Aedes, it will be water which is in and around the household.
So while there are a number of things we can and should do to prevent being bitten, the most effective way to prevent the spread of diseases by these mosquitoes is to prevent their breeding.
The Aedes aegypti mosquito is a mosquito that breeds in a containerized environment. They do not breed in rivers and drains, but they breed in containers that can be found in and around where persons dwell. So come with us and let us show you some of those breeding sites. This is a typical dish drainer that we find in most homes. And under most dish drainer is a tray that collects the water that comes off the dishes. And believe it or not, we have found breeding in several homes in these dish drainers. Yes. You can see that we have water that has settled. If this water does not evaporate quickly, it can lend itself to the breeding of the Aedes aegypti mosquito. So you not only have to empty the dish drainer, but you have to scrub to remove those eggs. This is the typical saucer that we will find under a plant. The rain has recently fallen, it has collected water, and right now it is steaming with the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Do you have some of these in your home? Aedes aegypti prefers water that is a little bit on the cleaner side, and it's found in a shaded environment. So what should we do with something like this? It's quite simple. You need to throw away the water. And if these containers are not being used, you have to keep them turned down so they're not able to collect water. If you have them under your plants, we ask that you bore holes in them so that it will not collect water. Do you have these in your homes? We find these in a lot of hotels and business places. And we ask those persons, check these bird baths or any ornamental things like these you have in your garden to ensure that they are not breeding the Aedes aegypti mosquito. There are things like this thrown down in persons' backyard. Old equipment, old furniture, old fixtures that are taken from homes, especially during construction. These are also able to hold water. And if they're holding water and sit for a while in the environment, they will also breed mosquitoes. And so we have found breeding in wheelbarrows, in old refrigerator, in old sinks such as this one. And we ask persons, if you're throwing out these, please ensure that they are positioned in such a way that they will not collect water.
Many persons, when they do have their drums, most times drums do not have any covers. So there is a mesh cover which is so designed to replace the missing covers. It is lightweight, and what we do is just simply slip it over, and the mesh is so designed mosquitoes will not be able to go through this mesh to get to the water. So this is the ideal way. One of the benefits also of this mesh is that even when rain does fall, water will go right through it. This is a typical example where this we have is a plastic drum and we have a metal cover here which is not designed for this. Whilst in some practice the intent is good, there may be occasions in which it does not fit or sit properly, and as a result you still have openings where mosquitoes can go right through and breed.
The mosquito is breeding right there in some very small places right around where you live. What is the habit we want you to develop? Once every week, search for and destroy the breeding sites of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Do join us again tomorrow when we'll bring you another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JIS News. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.